The Daily Compliance News for September 19, 2025. The Enron is still toxic edition. This is Tom Fox, and I'd like to welcome you to the Daily Compliance News. The Daily Compliance News is the only daily podcast which curates 4 top compliance, ethics, and/or corruption stories for your listening and viewing pleasure if you're watching this on YouTube. We began with a story about Exxon. Yes, our long-dead friend Exxon. Bloomberg reports on how an Exxon parody turned into its own financial mess. In December, an advertisement said that Enron was back, and it was a parody account or a parody. Company had bought the name Enron and was now using it. And it was from the guys who invented Conor Gaydos' Birds Aren't Real, an absurdist performance art. But then they tried to cash in on it, and things went south. So the name Enron still is bad news. From the Financial Times, BCG, the Boston Consulting Group, still trying to dig itself out of the imbroglio it put itself in when it modeled shipping Palestinians out of Gaza, and it will now train its staff in humanitarian principles and impose extra oversight on sensitive projects following an outcry over its work proposal to reallocate those Palestinians. The consulting firm has drawn up new policies for future humanitarian work, marking the first changes since it was revealed that it set up staff in an Israeli-backed effort to depopulate Gaza. A very sad story from NBC. The former number 2, a retired 4-star U.S. Navy admiral, was sentenced to 6 years in prison for his conviction on corruption charges that he agreed to exchange a military contract for a lucrative post-retirement job. My poor father, I'm sure, is turning in his grave as a proud World War II and Korean Navy veteran. But retired Admiral Robert P. Burke, once the second highest uniformed officer in the Navy, was commanding the Navy's forces in Europe and Africa when he engaged in a bribery plot with 2 business executives. A jury convicted Burke of all 4 counts in a trial in May. And our final story is that if you want to challenge an IPO, good luck on going to court now, as the SEC has revoked a ban on mandatory shareholder arbitrations and IPOs, ending a long-standing practice. What that means is if you want to invest, you're going to have to sign some sort of contract, and that contract's going to have an arbitration clause. And the current GOP SEC doesn't want anyone to be able to go in court and enforce their rights. They want to make you go to arbitration. So, happy Friday and happy weekend. The Daily Compliance News is a production of the Compliance Podcast Network and a proud member of C-Suite Radio. Thanks so much for listening. I hope you'll join me again tomorrow.